Let's talk about faction failures, specifically two WWE groups that, for very different reasons, just didn't click: Retribution and the current Wyatt Six. But more broadly, let's talk about a pattern in WWE: the tendency to create these groups, push them out to the audience with a lot of fanfare, and then have absolutely zero long-term creative plans for them. It's a recurring issue, and it's incredibly frustrating to watch. Let's start with Retribution, because their story is a masterclass in how not to debut a faction. Remember those weeks, months even, of mysterious vignettes? The static, the distorted voices, the implication of something big, something disruptive coming to WWE. They built this aura of impending chaos, a sense that the entire system was about to be challenged. And then they arrived, and it was a complete and utter mess. From the very first moment they stepped into the ring, it was clear WWE creative had absolutely zero idea what to do with them. The masks were generic, the names were ridiculous: T-Bar, Mace, Slapjack. Seriously, it felt like a parody of an edgy faction. The initial promise of disgruntled NXT talent fighting against the system quickly evaporated. The booking was atrocious. They lost constantly. They were made to look weak and ineffective. The female member, Mia Yim, Reckoning, was quietly shuffled out. Then the big reveal: Mustafa Ali as the leader. Now, Ali is a talented guy, no question. But the reveal felt underwhelming. It didn't elevate the group, it just made Ali look like he was leading a bunch of jobbers. From there, it went absolutely nowhere. The group's motivations remained unclear. They were just angry. They feuded with the Hurt Business and were comprehensively squashed. They were eventually quietly taken off television, and the group dissolved. Ali, despite his talent, never recovered from being associated with that debacle. He eventually departed WWE not long after. Retribution is a prime example of building hype and then completely failing to deliver on that promise. It's a story of wasted potential and creative mismanagement. Now let's shift gears to the Wyatt Six. On paper, this had all the ingredients for success. They had a great look, a creepy, almost Victorian horror aesthetic. They played on the legacy of Bray Wyatt, tapping into that unsettling supernatural element that made the original Wyatt family so compelling. We're talking about a direct blood relative of Bray Wyatt leading the group. The potential for storytelling was huge. And like Retribution, they started with weeks of intriguing vignettes, creepy imagery, unsettling sound design, a sense that something dark and twisted was coming. But then, it stalled. They clashed with Chad Gable, then The Miz, and then they just disappeared again. The biggest issue, in my opinion, is that they're just not scary. They have the look, they have the aesthetic, but they lack that genuine sense of menace, that feeling of dread that the original Wyatt family at its best could evoke. They need a truly imposing, terrifying leader, someone like a modern-day Undertaker, a figure who commands respect and instills fear. The problem is, right now, the leader isn't projecting that. They're missing that crucial element of genuine threat. They feel more like a cosplay group than a legitimate force to be reckoned with. The Wyatt Six had the potential to be something special, something truly memorable. But unless they find a way to inject that missing element of fear and find a consistent direction, they risk becoming another example of wasted potential, just like Retribution. But here's the thing: Retribution and the Wyatt Six aren't isolated incidents. This is a pattern. Think about the Authors of Pain, AOP. They were dominant in NXT, tearing through the tag team division. Then they came to the main roster, and nothing. They were paired with Drake Maverick in a bizarre comedy act, and their momentum completely evaporated. Remember SAnitY? Another group that felt genuinely dangerous in NXT, only to be neutered and broken up on the main roster. The Nexus. They were red hot for a few months, then their leader, Wade Barrett, was buried, and the group fizzled out. Even the League of Nations, a group of established international stars, felt directionless and ultimately failed to live up to its potential. It's like WWE gets excited about the idea of a faction, but they don't actually have a plan for what to do with them once they're on the main roster. They don't invest in consistent booking, compelling storylines, or clear motivations. They rely on the initial hype to carry the group, and when that hype fades, the group falls apart. It's a shame, because both Retribution and the Wyatt Six, and all these other groups in their own ways, had the opportunity to leave a lasting mark on WWE. But ultimately, creative missteps, a lack of clear vision, and this recurring pattern of failing to plan for the long term led to their downfall. Let me know what you think. Are the Wyatt Six salvageable? What could WWE have done differently with Retribution? What other factions do you think suffered from this same lack of creative direction? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching.